May has been a pretty big month for the Ozempic lawsuit. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we use the term Ozempic lawsuit. We're really talking about GLP-1 drugs. Ozempic's the most well-known. Also Mounjaro. Those are different manufacturers. They're actually different drugs.
But there's all a lawsuit happening.
Yeah, so several months ago, starting in December, a number of different law firms filed lawsuits based on a study that came out in the fall of 2023. And there were lawsuits filed all over the country. And when you have similar legal issues in federal courts all over the country, there's a thing called the Judicial Panel on Multi-District Litigation. And you go there and people say either this case should or should not be, they call it consolidated into a multi-district litigation. Everybody's case is still their case, but for discovery purposes, you go to one court. And that was granted. So in February, all the cases got sent to the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, which is Philadelphia, not far from New Jersey, where Novo Nordisk's U.S. headquarters are. This is a European company.
I mean, it's obviously a well-known drug, and it's nonstop. I mean, you see it everywhere. You see it on like Instagram, TikTok, TV ads, and it's really popular for weight loss. But it was first known as a diabetes drug. Like, what they're not telling you is that it's actually making people pretty sick.
I can tell you it's certainly making people sick, and I don't think that Novo Nordisk or Eli Lilly would dispute that it's making people sick. The question is whether it's a side effect to a drug, and did they properly warn of the side effect to the drug? It's actually a very technical, legal lawsuit. Is there a proper warning, or is there not? Was the FDA informed of the type of problems that could occur, and did they do the things they were supposed to do to get the drug approved properly and warn the people using it properly?
Right. And before we get into the update of this lawsuit, what are some of the illnesses that people are experiencing?
Yep. Gastroparesis, bowel obstructions, those are the two main ones. That's 95% of the people.
Okay, so those of you who are in this current lawsuit, what is the update?
Any multi-district litigation, there's rules set up. But the biggest update is the case just got going and the judge died this month.
Oh.
So really sad, really experienced judge, apparently a very well-liked judge, no one that I've ever appeared in front of. The judge issues case management orders, which talks about how potentially thousands or tens of thousands of cases will be handled efficiently so that we can get discovery and the information. So the judge really just started going in this case for a few months, and now there's going to be a new judge.
So does that mean there's a delay, or what do you think?
Yeah, nothing's happened for the last few weeks. It's been on hold. There's been no court filings, but there had been a number of things happening. It's going to be a huge case. You have a number of different, very large pharmaceutical companies, a tremendous amount of money at stake, but there's really different drugs, and you're going to have different issues. You have different companies dealing with the FDA, very complicated situation. And I think the next main step in the Ozempic lawsuit is going to be a science study. But before that, we need to find out who the judge is going to be.
Mm-hmm. When do you think, if you could guess, when do you think that'll happen? Hopefully
I
soon.
think any day. There's too many cases of huge litigation in the United States. It has to be soon, and it is soon a day, a week, or 3 weeks. But it'll be shortly.
And we'll keep everyone updated.
We'll keep everyone updated. The judge will likely have a status conference at that point. You have a new judge. They have the authority to conduct discovery. And discovery is what the stage that we're at in the Ozempic lawsuit is. The plaintiffs and the plaintiffs' lawyers will request information from these manufacturing companies. And they'll say, we want to know how you developed the drug, the internal studies that you did, the emails between the people who were developing the drugs over the course of many years, the preliminary studies, and they'll ask for all this information, and the manufacturers will turn over some, and inevitably in every MDL there's a fight about what gets turned over and what doesn't get turned over, and you didn't give us everything. It's also hard to go through millions of documents from the defense perspective.
Right.
That process of document discovery, paper discovery, that will go on for a year at least, probably more. There have been some preliminary filings in the Ozempic lawsuit. And
what does that mean? I don't know.
So they're like statements of the case, and each side got to file a statement of the case to the judge.
Like an overview?
Yeah, from their perspective. This is what we intend to prove. This is what we think the evidence will show. Preliminary statements. Those are on our website. we can link to them. But those are really important documents that suggest what both sides think the evidence will show. It's a tremendous undertaking for a group of plaintiff lawyers to go against a drug company, and it's very important to the drug company as well. So you have very experienced lawyers briefing the case for the judge, and those briefs set the stage for the lawsuit going forward.
All right. Real quick, if anyone wants more information, where can we find it?
Our website, we update it. I'm just looking at some of our updates. We update pretty much weekly. There's some technical questions about gastroparesis, how it's actually measured. The defense wants to say there's a specific study that should be used. The plaintiffs say, no, you don't have to do that. We can prove our case however we want to, as long as it's scientifically reliable. And that's not how, there's multiple different ways to diagnose this. That was an important update this month, just looking at some of our notes here. In the position statements, those were the biggest things going on. And so the next two things we're looking for are science day in front of the judge and the assignment of the judge. So that's the status going into June of 2024 on the Ozempic.
We'll have another update next month.
Yeah, we should.
All right.